the different lineups that they're using based on the personnel that's being out there. Like you see those like in real time, and people like us that analyze sports from a larger perspective outside of just, being a spectator. Those are things that really stand out to me. Those things that you don't see on the stat sheet.
Yeah, no, that's a big fact, bro. That's a real big fact. But yeah, all of that culminated with a finals appearance and a finals win, and that's number 17 for the Lakers, man. Shout out to your boys. Appreciate they got it done. But
that was for Kobe.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. It got to be for Kobe, man. R.I.P. Kobe, R.I.P. Gigi. Although I will say I do feel kind of robbed in these playoffs because we didn't get to see the Battle of LA.
I agree with you.
And yeah, that's the Clippers' fault. Like you got this fucking Denver Nuggets team, a much less talented Denver Nuggets team, and you got them down 3-1, and you allegedly have the best player. At one point I was calling Kawhi Leonard the best player in the world, and I was wrong. No, I was wrong.
For a stretch of the year, you were not wrong.
Listen, it's one of those things where I think, and this happened for me again, where remember when Steph Curry and that Golden State Warriors team was just going nuts, and everybody was calling Steph, oh yeah, he's the best player in the world. And I think a lot of times what happens is that we get caught up in the moment. And this is what happened with me, and I'm admittingly saying so. I got caught up in the moment with Steph Curry, and then LeBron reminded us, no, who's the real best player in the world, and had to get fucking KD to jump him. And then and then Kawhi had his run last year in Toronto, and again, I was caught up in the moment. I seen what he did to my Sixers. I seen what he did to the Bucks. I seen what he did to the Warriors. And I'm like, yeah, this dude is the best player. But then again, LeBron gets into the playoffs, and he had to remind us again, like, who is the best player in these in the world. And at 35 years old, no, I don't think like he hasn't lost that crown. And it's one of those things that I'm telling myself I'm not going to make that mistake again until somebody takes it from him. Because when he's in the playoffs, nobody has taken it from him yet. I mean, the Warriors jumped him with KD, so I don't like come on, that's like the greatest team I ever seen in 2017. But man, the dude is something special, man. And the Clippers, they fucking Paul George.
Come
on, bro.
This is I analyzed this game, like the game 7. There's no way they should have lost that one, and I'll tell you exactly why. Jamal Murray was eating, and I watched literally every sequence back up and down the court, and probably about 80% of those trips, he was neither guarded by Kawhi Leonard or Paul George. He was guarded by a whole bunch of other, not the best player on the team. And I think that was, if you want to blame anything, people keep saying like all these conspiracy theorists that keep popping up talking about, oh, the NBA is rigged, that's why the Clippers lost. I'm like, no, the Clippers lost because your two best players play trash. And you had somebody tearing your team up, and neither one of them guarded them. It's just that simple.
Yeah, the fact that, first of all, there's a lot of different factors I want to touch on with that. First of all, Kawhi Leonard or Paul George not stepping up to go and guard Jamal Murray. And they should have been guarding him from jump the whole game. This dude is fucking cooking y'all right now. He's averaging 35 a game on you right now.
Dropped 40 on y'all already. Like
close out on exactly. To close you out, he dropped 40 on you, and you're supposed to
wake y'all up.
That's supposed to be the two best perimeter defenders in the NBA right now. This tandem was supposed to just literally just swallow people defensively, and y'all let this dude cook y'all. Don't step up and go check him. Doc Rivers doesn't make the adjustment to fucking.
Terrible coaching.
Take out Lou Williams and take out Montrezl Harrell because they can't do nothing. They're literally just food defensively. Like Denver is seeking y'all out to make sure y'all get switched onto the matchup, and they're attacking you. And Doc Rivers never adjusted from that. He sticks with his guys, quote unquote. And then on top of that, you blow a 3-1 lead. Like you had them down 3-1. You got to win one more game to advance to the Western Conference Finals, and you let this team beat y'all 3 straight times. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, I couldn't believe what I was watching, especially being that my cousin is a huge Clippers fan. So, all year long, we were like, yeah, I know for a fact it's going to be Battle Los Angeles. We're going to finally get that moment to be cousin versus cousin in the Western Conference Finals. Here they go, pooping the bed.
Yes. Extremely.
It's like you hit the nail on the head, especially with Doc Rivers. Like, that's why I love to mention Frank Vogel. His coaching job was so amazing, especially in those, crunch time games. But Doc Rivers, you've been here before. Like, you've seen these scenarios. Why didn't you make the adjustment? It's like, that's why I understand why they fired him.
I 100% understand as well. Like, I get it. You're a championship coach, which, I mean, let's be honest, that shit happened 12 years ago. That happened in 2008.
That was a minute ago.
Right. So I hope you're still not hanging your pedigree on that, because that's this is a win now league. And that was 12 years ago, and you haven't done shit since. Mm-hmm. And just the Clippers organization, man, it's just a snake bitten organization. Like, they can't get to the Western Conference Finals. Like, they have yet to do it in like their 50 plus year history.
I understand it. It's just, they need to get out. I think they need to get their own stadium.
That might be it.
I have this theory, yo. I have this theory, and people laugh at me all the time when I bring it up, but I'm like, think about this. Think about being a team that's sharing a stadium with one of the most well-known teams in the world. Like, not just basketball teams, just teams in the world.
Right.
Not only that, y'all have a championship pedigree to match it. So you got, every day you coming into this arena to play, you got other people's banners hanging up, looking you in the face. Mm-hmm. That's why a lot of people was mad about Doc Rivers wanting them to be covered during, Clippers games. And I understood, because it's a mentality thing. Yeah. You got your players already warped because all they see is Lakers legacy when they come into their quote unquote home court.
Yeah, no, I get it. I definitely get that.
Like, you have the entire company and the entire team. They need to build it.
It could be a mind fuck. Yeah, that could definitely be a mind fuck. Every time you look up, you see championship banners and none of them are yours.
Come on. Like, that's just simple math to me. I always say that to people. I'm like, imagine, put yourself in them shoes. Like, you coming into an arena every time to play a home game, quote unquote, and none of the banners hanging up is yours.
None of them.
That's an away game. You just in your home jerseys in an away game.
Oh man, they might need to get a new city, not just a new stadium.
They need to be on their own.
They need to come back to Buffalo, man.
Come back to Buffalo or go to Las Vegas. Las Vegas need a football team.
Yeah, man. You know how lit it would be if we had a basketball team in Buffalo, bro. Oh my god. Me too. Yep.
Without a question.
Yep. I'm the same way. I'll definitely have season tickets. I'll make that shit happen.
You have to, because that'd be too legendary. That'd be mad fun.
Man, every night I'm up there.
I also want to talk more about that, because, like, how do you feel about a lot of people are like kind of like brushing over it because it's kind of becoming the new norm, but this is our first championship in a bubble.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel to see a spectacle like the NBA Finals with no crowd?
So the whole bubble concept, like, from when it first was announced, was like, okay, I was a little skeptical on it, and I was not gonna lie, I was like, yo, this is not going to continue. Like, there's no way that this season is going to get canceled, and they're going to just start prepping for 2021. But I mean, kudos to the players, man. Kudos to the NBA players that have joined the bubble and competed throughout the whole thing. Because you got to think, man, like, they was away from their families and their friends and just like normal life for about a good 3.5 months.
You're isolated.
Yeah, exactly. You just keep seeing the same people and the same staff, and it's like, fuck, bro. And I mean, kudos to the Lakers and the Heat.
Yeah, people are trying to discredit this championship and this finals, like, because of the bubble circumstance. But I argue to say that it was worse. It was more difficult than any other championship.
I 100% agree.
Like, you're away from your family. These are people that have been used to their entire life playing in front of a crowd, and you have no crowd on supposed the biggest stage of your career. You have no fan interaction. You have whatever food you're given, like little circumstances like that when you're in the finals. Like, you got to have, I'm sure if I'm in the NBA finals, I want to have my favorite meal to make sure I feel right. I want to have my most comfortable situation, my bed, my everything. They had none of that.
Yeah. Yes, and then, like, because you got a routine. Like, when you're an athlete, you have a routine that you do before games, throughout the week, and like that routine was uplifted and then just placed in one place where you can't go outside of the parameters. Otherwise, you got to quarantine yourself for X amount of weeks and X amount of days. Like, the shit is nuts.
It's a difficult circumstance, man, for sure.
Very difficult. And I 100% agree with you, man. This is the most difficult championship year, I think, ever. I don't take nothing. Actually, you got to give them more credit, in my opinion.
I agree.
For them to stay as focused as they did, man, that's just another accomplishment towards the Lakers and LeBron James, and it just shows the greatness of this team, man. I'm not even just, trying to credit the Lakers more. All those teams that ended up in that circumstances, especially the ones that got into the later rounds of the playoffs. Yeah.
Like, y'all have some, intestinal fortitude that most men wouldn't be able to even imagine trying to do. So, I really got to give my hats off to that. Think about Paul George. He was saying, like, yo, man, this shit got to me. Like, he was mentally checked out. They were saying that the Clippers didn't want to be there. They didn't. That team was checked out, if you ask me. Mm-hmm. They were one of the two teams that, didn't want to be there, voted not to be in the bubble. And it's ironic that the only other team won the championship. Right. So that showed a switch of the mentality. At some point, the Clippers were supposed to switch their mind frame and get back into NBA season mode, and that never happened. Yeah. That was the ultimate downfall with them. But the reason why I brought that up with the bubble is because I think it didn't shock me as much because I've been able to get accustomed to it from other sports I've been watching. Yeah. Such as wrestling. Because it first hit me when I watched WrestleMania with no crowd. Yeah. It was weird. So once I saw that, I was like, if I could watch this, I could watch anything with no crowd. And I think Dana White need to get a little bit of credit because I feel like he put out the perfect formula for sports to be able to come back with the UFC. NBA wouldn't have happened without the UFC. I feel you on that one. I definitely feel you on that one. UFC did, to this day, right now, UFC is still putting out a fucking phenomenal product. Their protocols have been great. They make sure they're quarantined everybody properly. Like, you constantly hear all the MMA stars talking about it on their social medias and things like that. All the different parameters they have to go through, the 2 steps of quarantine. And a lot of the companies kind of like copied that. And I'm not mad. I felt like it was a great formula to follow. And I'm glad that they did. And that the Walt Disney Resort was allowing the NBA to use their entire facility for the time being, because that was big. They could have said no. They could have easily said no to that. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's 100%, man. And I think we got to give kudos to everybody that made this process happen. Not just the teams that went down there. There's a lot of moving parts, man. Yeah. The Disney staff, like the fucking broadcast teams, the reporters, like the cooks, all the that were working there, helping all the players, all the coaching staff and all the trainers, they had to come and leave their homes and be out without their families as well to help the NBA players. Hundreds of people just changed their lives for a good solid 4 or 5 months to make this happen, to make this shit happen. And we all know they made it happen for the money. Obviously, that's right. priority number one. But the fact that they was willing to go ahead and do that to entertain everybody and to compete. Like, that's, man. I loved every minute of it. Like, seriously, man. I got to give a round of applause for that. Seriously. Sure. I loved every minute of it. I was super happy. Like, I was one of those fans that was just, like, elated when they said, oh, the NBA is back. I was like, what? Yeah. NBA back, boys. Lit. So, I'm extremely grateful for everybody that took a part in making this happen and allowing us to get this NBA season off this year. Whew, we needed it. Yes, we did, man. Fucking 2020 is a hell of a ride, and sports is always one of those things that we're able to go to as an escape. For sure, it fucking sucked when we didn't have that. We didn't have that for several months. Several months we didn't have that, and we got UFC. We still have wrestling and things of that nature there, but but the NBA is for me personally. The NBA is the only major league sport. Yes. Combat sports that I watch. I don't really watch football and soccer and hockey and stuff like that, with the exception of the big games, like the trophy games. But basketball was it for me. Me without basketball, I was hurting. Dude, it got to the point where I was putting on 2K games, putting on simulation, and just letting it ride. We had a whole league of like a group of 6 friends. We were playing, team modes, my team mode against each other just to pass the time away because there was no NBA. Like, we was getting desperate. Shit was real, bro. Yeah, that shit was real. I'm glad things are getting back to quote unquote normal so we can start seeing program again.